It's full chaos mode with the Cleveland Browns right now. And honestly, I don't know when it's going to end. Welcome in, Browns fans, to the Browns Report by Chat Sports. My name is Moose. It's been a long time since I've seen you guys, but I decided because of all the craziness that was coming in surrounding the Browns, I had to at least make a video. And I'm not going to lie to you, I haven't seen chaos like this since the last time I went to the DMV. But I do have at least some news for you that could be considered good news. A new host is on his way. Now, before we get to our brand new host here on the Browns Report, how many wins do you think the Browns are going to have in 2025? If you would have asked me a month ago, I would have told you like 7 or 8. But right now, the chaos surrounding this team, I don't even know what my answer would be. Either way, let me know in the comment section down below. Let's start with the most pressing news that you never want to have a smile on your face to talk about, right? It has to do with the player's health. It has to do with the way that they make their livelihood. And this is Martin Emmerson, who was carted off of practice, and this was a pretty severe leg injury. In fact, Mary Kay Cabot was quoted as saying he was in tears when he was carted off. So this seems to be pretty severe. And like I said, I don't ever want to be the one that delivers bad news with a smile on my face. I just find it so fitting right now that the Browns are going through all of this chaos. And that's not to say anything about the fans or the organization itself, but it seems like chaos just follows the Browns wherever they go. And with the recent developments, not only from Quinshon Judkins, Jordan Hicks, but now the Martin Emmerson injury, it just feels like, when are we going to get some good news for the Cleveland Browns? And the Browns cornerback depth chart right now cannot afford to lose any more players. That's not to say this is an awful cornerback room, but they just can't catch a break. Like, can we just finally have no Cleveland Browns bad news for the next couple of weeks as we start the NFL season? How about this? We're really looking forward to the Cleveland Browns playing football in 2025. That's what we need to be seeing. Instead, we're getting headlines surrounding Quinshon Judkins, Jordan Hicks' retirement, Martin Emmerson getting carted off the field. We're going to touch on some rumors here in just a little bit. I mean, when does it end? I got to say, if I was a huge Cleveland Browns fan, I would be just like, yep, this is our lives every single day of the week. And I like the Cleveland Browns. I'm not saying here and blowing smoke up your butt saying like, yeah, this is one of my favorite teams, but it's also not one of my least favorite teams. I actually enjoy watching the Cleveland Browns play football. So now we do have to talk about the rumors that are going on with the Browns, and one that's been making its way throughout headlines. And quite honestly, I don't know why this is a story. I feel like this is just one of those, hey, there's not much to talk about right now, so we just got to kind of like force a story into the media. It's about Arch Manning and how Jimmy Haslam apparently is like gaga over him. Here's what Tony Rizzo basically kind of talked about with the Arch Manning sort of situation. That the thirst, I find that to be a funny way that he phrases that Jimmy Haslam has for Arch Manning is unmatched. And that even though he's not sure if the kid's coming out or not, it's not a coincidence that the team acquired an additional first-round pick in 2026. How about you focus on right now? How about you focus on 2025 Cleveland Browns football? We don't even know if Arch Manning's going to come out of college football this year. Now, granted, there's a lot of hype around him considering he is a Manning. Haslam is very, very close with both the Manning boys. Excuse me, I'm fighting off a little summer cold here. But this is a non-story that's being turned into a story. Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel are trying to solidify their place as NFL starting quarterbacks. This is the launch of their career. So we don't need to be focusing right now on a guy that may or may not come out of college football. And to be quite honest, we don't even know if Arch can play yet. He's only appeared in a couple of games. We know that there's some serious talent, but we don't know if he's going to be an NFL caliber quarterback day one. And like I said, you've got quarterbacks on your depth chart right now. Guys that need developing. Not Flacco and not Pickett, but Gabriel and Sanders. These two guys could be the future of Cleveland Browns football. And remember, nuggets of truth come out in every single rumor. I'm not saying that Jimmy Haslam came out and said, I'm so ready to draft Arch Manning. That's not at all what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that if he's been talking super highly of Arch Manning coming out in 2026, it's clear that he's not focused on the development of Dillon Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders. Now, I know that I've been rambling quite a bit here. So I want to take a quick little reprieve. I'll throw it back to you. Are you ready for Browns football? Can't we just put all of the bad news and all of the rumors behind us for just a little while, sit down on the couch, watch some Cleveland Browns football, or you could tune into the Browns Report because we're going to be live for every single game. Just a little shameless plug there. Okay, now on to some more rumors here. Stuff that I actually believe that there could be some validity to. So unlike the Arch Manning rumor, I actually believe that this might be happening sooner rather than later. Now, before I get into that rumor about the Browns potentially cutting a quarterback, make sure that you get this Browns Nike Performance t-shirt, which I'm going to be completely honest with you, I had no idea was still on sale, but it is. We checked literally right before we hit record. So do me a favor, go to chatsports.com/Browns Nike tee and make sure that you use the link that I've put in the comments and description of today's video. If you want to get decked out in all the best Cleveland Browns gear, including jerseys, shirzies, t-shirts, hats, glove, you name it, they've got it over at Fanatics. Chatsports.com/Browns Nike tee. So let's talk a little bit more about these QB rumors. Now, NFL rumors, I don't want to say it's the most trusted site, but it's definitely not some clickbait, social media account. There's always, again, a little bit of nuggets of truth. But this one says that the Browns are expected to release one of their quarterbacks on their roster. So you can either cut Flacco, Pickett, Shedeur, or Dillon Gabriel. Well, I don't think it's going to be the two rooks. And it's clearly not going to be Flacco. So who does that leave? Kenny Pickett, who, by all accounts, had been having some really good practices. Unfortunately, injured his hamstring. And Adam Schefter was the one that dropped the truth bomb for us about the Kenny Pickett injury. Here's what happened. Browns quarterback Kenny Pickett injured his hamstring near the end of Saturday's practice and is expected to reevaluate the injury later this week. Pickett was coming off a strong couple of practices per sources, and at least for the short term, there will now be more reps for Flacco, Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders. Now, a lot of different, depending on where you find your news, you'll see highlight videos of Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. They're all getting their own individual recognition. But Kenny Pickett seems to be the odd man out, at least right now, according to Moose. Now, again, I'm not inside that locker room. I'm not a Browns beat reporter, so maybe I'm not the one that should be sharing that. But if I were to evaluate what I know about NFL quarterbacks and what I've previously seen from Kevin Stefanski, I would think that it's Joe Flacco's job. Week 1, Flacco's your starter. And even if the Browns weren't going to get rid of one of their quarterbacks, I still think it would have been Joe Flacco's job. But then here's the kicker. I think Shedeur comes in halfway through the season. Just my thoughts, just my 2 cents on it. I think you've got to at least give Shedeur a shot. This was a kid that was being evaluated as a first or a second round talent, albeit fell all the way down to the 5th round. But you got to see what he's got. I think Dillon Gabriel is going to be a bridge quarterback and a backup quarterback, for the entirety of his career. I could be proven wrong by that. I don't know. I've never seen him play in an NFL game. I know what I saw in college, and what I saw in college was an accurate quarterback that can deliver the ball into the hands of the playmakers, much like Shedeur Sanders, although Shedeur's bigger and stronger and a little bit faster. So I'll ask you this question before we round out today's episode. How many quarterbacks do you think play for the Browns in 2025? I'm not saying on the depth chart. I'm saying getting into the game. How many Browns quarterbacks do you think play? I'm going to say right now, conservatively, I'll go 2, but I think it could be 3. You might see Flacco, Gabriel, and Shedeur all get at least a couple of starts under their belt. That is going to do it for us on today's episode. I love coming in and filling in for the Browns fans right now. So make sure you like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel right before we get our new host in. And as always, be cool.